Hey guys, we're back with Jared Case from LearnBC. It's great to be back, and we're going to launch a new training series here on how to build Business Central in 7 days. We're starting off here at the Microsoft Dynamics website. If you want to get here, you just type in dynamics.microsoft.com and it's going to load you straight to the generic Dynamics website. And you'll notice in the URL, make sure it says your region, your AU for Australia, NZ New Zealand, US for USA, so your 2-letter acronym for your country. Under the products menu, we're going to go over to Business Central. I'm not going to spend time here talking about all the rest of Dynamics, and we're going to be summative in a lot of things that we're doing today. So just to keep the pace rolling, if you want more lessons or more, to break down into more detail, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com Learn Business Central. And here on the YouTube channel, you'll end up with a whole heap of categories of different series of training that we've got here that you can run through. I'd highly recommend you going through what we refer to as the basics, stepping into the postings and finance, and then heading into sales and purchasing. And that would give you a really good deep dive into Business Central and what you can do to use the platform. But again, we're back here. All right. You need a Microsoft tenancy. Number one, you must have a basic license. You must have some form of email license to be able to provision this. Okay. And you must buy it off a partner, but you can try it for free directly from Microsoft. So just here we click try for free, and that's going to spin us up into Business Central. All right. So it's already detected my email address. I'm logged here into Build Dynamics. Build Dynamics is one of our businesses that develops extensions for Business Central. It's a sponsor of what we're doing today with this series, and we'll talk through some of the extensions that they can bring to your environment at another time. Let's hit continue. All right, I'm not going to tick this, and I'm just going to hit get started, and off we go. All right, it's now already spinning up. It's already working right now, and it's saying, hey, do I want to give this to some of my team at that domain names? I'm not going to. I'm just going to go skip and go to Business Central. So let's get started. All right, one of the tricks in getting into Business Central, if you don't know the URL, it's businesscentral.dynamics.com/ your domain name that currently is provisioned. It could be your own Microsoft domain /admin. And if you are a global administrator, or if you're a Dynamics 365 administrator, Business Central administrator, you'll have access to be able to get into this, which is the Business Central Admin Center. All right, let's take a quick drive through here. This production environment is spun up automatically when you spin up the new license or you spin up a new tenant. The reality is I want to take you through this from scratch. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go into the production environment. I'm going to hit delete. And it just asked me to type production. So type the name of the environment and hit delete. Now, while that's deleting, I'm going to take you through a few other things I would set up. Notification recipients. Highly recommend add your email address in here. So what this will do is it will update you when Microsoft is doing updates on the environment, when they're trying to patch it, or there's things that you need to know. They'll contact you regarding your environment. The Enter Apps list just shows you apps that you can install across the different companies that you've got, the production environments you've got. And it allows you to see the versions and updates. Well, you've got telemetry. Telemetry basically monitors anytime something touches Business Central, what goes on within Business Central. There's a lot of tools about telemetry. We're not going to talk right now. Reported outages just shows you what's going on with Microsoft LAN. Operations gives us effectively a perspective as to who's touching the environment. The capacity is really important. You want to see here, you get 80 gig out of the box. Okay, so you get 80 gig license with your first license. So 80 gigs comes, and then you get 2 gigs per user for Essentials or 3 gigs per user for Premium. And that's how you measure your space. I have no licensed users because we're in trial, so we don't get any extra space. And then it will break it down by production environment, how much space you've used, etc. Where at the moment we've got nothing, so nothing's here. We're ready to go. So first things first, I'm going to hit new, and in a moment it's going to pop up here. Now it does come with a delay. This is a provisioning tool, so it's not like, and yes, this happens to all of us. Like every time I provision an environment, it sits here for 10, 20 seconds, but that's not a normal delay within Business Central. It's just spinning up. So you can see the thing spinning in the center of the page. That will tell you that it's moving. Now, before I go too far, while this is starting, you can actually restore going back to any day within 30 days to any second of any minute using the backup tool within here. And it's automatic. It's part of your subscription. This environment I'm going to call production, and I'm going to set it up for Australia, AU, and I'm going to choose my version to be build 27. And the reality is version 27 at the time of this recording isn't even public release. It's currently in early release for testing. It comes out in the next couple of weeks. So we're in October 2025 when this video is being recorded. It's version 27 is like the wave 2. Version 26 was wave 1 of this year. So next year's wave 1, around April in the year, will be version 28, current version 28. So there's 2 waves per year of Business Central, and then there's an update every other month that gives you 27.1, 2.3, and then you get patches accordingly. Now this is preparing. I'm going to hit refresh. Now the URL just changes to /production. That's all that changes, and that becomes your business URL for accessing Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. You do want to bookmark it when you get the URL, so we'll do that in a few minutes. Awesome. It's now provisioned. I'm going to hit the little arrow, little box arrow, and it bounces into the Business Central environment. Remembering what I showed you before, so if I could just take that, if I change the domain name, so my domain name here is build, like that, and it will work just the same. Okay, same thing. That's just your Microsoft 365 GUID that's currently on your Office 365 tenancy. All right, so we load into an environment called Kronos, and this is a furniture company from Microsoft that gives us the ability to just see the system, experience it, utilize it. And you'll notice up the very top bar, it's an application bar. If I click, I will see my Office 365 applications. If I touch the top right hand corner, it will give you my Microsoft 365 account. I can see there's application settings up the top, and then the application falls underneath it. Okay. If you want to understand more about the basics, go do the basics series. We're just going to keep kicking. I'm going to show you a few things that come out of the box. I'm going to click this building, and I can see I've got 2 companies created out of the box that are here. One of them is called Kronos and the other is my company. And if I click my company and hit switch, it's going to take me into this Microsoft set up a new company and follow our wizards, and we'll take you on a journey. Okay. Now let's hit next. We're ready to go, accept, get started. And it's going to load Business Central as my company. So I've now got 2. Okay. Now, the problem with this company is that it's actually missing a lot of general setups that we would use when we're looking at spinning up a new company. Okay. And so there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. We want to go, and so we're going to use what's called Tell Me just here, or search, and we're going to type companies. Now, as I type, you can type abbreviated words and sentences abbreviated, and it will help you get to what you're looking for in the search. In the basics video, we've got a whole video about the search function. Let's just click companies, and in here I can click new. Sorry, wrong new. Let's just get out of that. I'm going to press the down arrow, create new company. This is going to pop up with a wizard, and I'm going to call this Build Dynamics, and I'm going to start this with setup data only. Okay. Now what this gives us is a bit more data than just a complete empty system. I'm just going to hit next. What modules am I wanting to use? Warehousing, fixed assets, human resources, jobs, foundation, finance. All of this is good. I'm happy with all of the above. Press next, manage users. Next, that's it. Hit finish. And now this is actually provisioning the company. It's creating the company, and it's going to take a few minutes. So if I try to log in the company, it's going to say, hey, we're not ready yet. So I'm going to check back in a sec once this is done. Okay, we can see here the company's now in the list. It says in progress. And if we hit the F5 key on your keyboard, it will continue to update. So just keep checking back in, and once it's ready to go, you'll see it there. Okay, we've got a completed setup company. I can just click out of this, and there's a couple of different ways we can change. We can hit the building and press Build Dynamics, or I can go to my settings and change my company here into Build Dynamics. Now, while I'm here, my English is wrong. I'm going to change this to English, Australia. I'm going to change my language to Aussie. Awesome. All right. So, and turn these teaching tips off for now, because they're going to pop up a lot and cause me a bit of frustration. All right. Now this should load pretty quick. Now, creating the company might have taken you 5 or 10 minutes, depending on what you've done. But now we're in here, we've got a brand new company. So there's a lot to think about. Now, I've met many Microsoft Dynamics functional consultants that have never known about this feature, and it's really cool. What I want you to do, and so this assumes that you understand the bookmark bar here. And we are currently within a role which is business manager. I'm going to change that back to business manager, not evaluation. And all right, let's take a look at this. Cool. Get ready. So cool. All right, here we are. So this is cool. So you got your favorites here. Tell Me. So click search. Manual setup. Manual setup, and bookmark it. So click that bookmark, and it will appear just here in your bookmark bar. Let's take a look, and here I now have every setup module that you probably need to be going through to think about for Business Central. All right, it's pretty cool, hey? All right. So there's a lot there, and there's a lot there that's missing in context. All right. So it's easy to go and fiddle and play with some setups. I've had other people do this before, and they ask me, they're like, oh, what does this mean? And you will end up needing someone that you can reach out to for support. Okay. Because Business Central is a huge platform. First things first, this company is our company. We're going to go in, and I'm going to hit, company information, and I'm going to put in my company name. There we go. Contact the name warehouse 1-800. That's a made up number, by the way. Okay, and I've got and website of .builddynamics.com.au. All right, so that was pretty easy. When you're looking at these pins and tabs, okay, make sure that you extend them all and you click show more, right? Otherwise you're going to miss certain features. For example, the logo. So I don't have the, let's see if I can take it from here. Save images. Let's see. And I'll save that in my downloads. Cool. All right, let's use that one. I'm just going to upload that from my downloads. Don't know that it's going to work. No, it's not going to work. It needs a JPEG or a PNG. All right, so that's your logo. Your payments, where are the default for your payments to be received to? You've got where's your default warehouse. Now, if we're using warehouse locations, this gets overridden because we're actually going to use warehouse locations in this example. So it's not really so important, but what is my default location? And you can see here the system's given us some dummy locations. So we've got a bunch of things here for us to set. You've got your registration of your tax. So if I go in here to abr.business.gov.au and I search build dynamics, you'll see we're a registered company there, and I'm just going to copy that tax file number and put it in there. All right. The company badge, this helps you know what you're building. And I like the first one. We like to make it red. Now we make it red, and then we usually put text on this saying template or master. Okay, I'll show you what that means in a sec. And then the user experience comes down to the licensing type that you've got. Now be really careful clicking this. If you are needing manufacturing, service, advanced features, you need to click premium. If you're not, the rest of Business Central covers you within essentials. So we're going to use essentials for this demo because I don't need the other, and I haven't provisioned that license. So as soon as I escape out of this, it's going to refresh all of Business Central. Okay. And reloads me back in, and you'll notice now I've got this red dot here. So the building's gone. But now I can tell I'm actually in the main company. Now, why do we do that? When I want to start testing something, you don't test it in your live company. What we like to do, we go back to companies, we go back in here, and we like to copy it, and we'll call it burn test 1, burn test 2, burn test 3, and we change the icon color. And when we go live, we change the color again. So for example, green for live, might be purple for testing. Red means do not touch. The other thing that we commonly do is after we've set the name, we'll just call this master template, just like that. And as I override it, okay, it overrides it in the top left-hand corner there. So I've changed it in the companies, but this has not changed it on my company information here. Okay, so it's still correct, is all they're ready to go. But if I overwrite this company information, as soon as I start typing, it's going to override it again and rename the company. All right. So you've got your logo, fill in your details. You've got your company information. We're set up. We're ready to go. You may need to let some people in if you've given them a license. And so we'll go into users and you update the users from Office 365. And as soon as you do that, they'll load in the system. So if they've got a license in your Microsoft 365 or your Entra from Azure, if you have people assigned a license, you'll be able to turn around and suck them straight into Business Central ready to go. Against your users while you're in setup, and I'm not going to talk permissions too far, but just make sure if they're here to help you set up, give them a super, and that should give them access to everything within the system. All right. Okay, so we've gone over how to get to manual setup. We've gone over, the general. Now, ready to set up your business. Look, let's just hit get started. a look around, company details. All right, it's doing what I'm telling you to do. Update users, permissions, user settings, outgoing email, migrate data, etc. Let's just close this for now. Okay. What I want to do, which I believe is the core of our why, I always go for a starting company. I go to the chart of accounts. So I go finance, chart of accounts, and this is my chart of accounts template that I'm wanting to use to start this business. And as you can see here, I can see liquid assets. This is the banking. I can see my AR. I can see my inventory setup. I can see we've got initial setups here now come into this template for projects. We've got setups for loans, tangible, non-tangible. You've got your assets. So this is all set up out of the box. I highly recommend, and I've done hundreds of these builds, that you take your Xero or your MyOb or your Quicken or your SAP chart of accounts and you adapt it into Business Central. The reason for it is there is so much taken up in the Business Central configuration, and the more you fiddle with it, you will spend a lot of time on this. I've had customers spend weeks and months building their chart of accounts. Whereas if a customer comes in and says, hey, I'm going to adapt it. So local currency, this is my main bank. I'm going to call this business account. I might call NAB business account, just like that. Okay. So now my main bank account is 1010. And I've just renamed what's there. I've got bank currencies and other, and we don't really need them. I could delete them. So I'm not changing one heck of a lot, but I do need to get concerned about the income statement because that's going to concern me. So what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way down. You can scroll down, or you could choose to filter. So click filter and just select your income statement. And there we are. We start off with the income statement. Okay, I can see here sales of retail. I probably want to rename that. Total sales retail. I'd probably just call that our income, total income. Sale of raw materials, sale of resource, sale of jobs, sale of service. We're not doing service contracts. I'm not doing jobs in this, or resources, or manufacturing. I'll delete all of those. I'll just go straight to the first one. So we're going to sale of raw materials all the way down, service contracts, and I'm just going to take them all and delete them. Just like that. And so now I've got my revenue account. I've got total revenue. I've got my interest income. That's my total revenue just there. And I haven't really broken anything because I've just reduced what we're doing. We're not paying for premium. These things aren't included. So the chart of account, the GL codes just don't matter anymore. Costs here are important. Cost of retail. But you can see here, I've got the cost of raw materials, we've got cost of resources, cost of capacities, variances, which is manufacturing. I'm going to take all of that and I'm going to delete it because I just don't need it. So now I've got my COGS, and my COGS should be relative to my income. And what we like to do is I'll generally go up into my income. And if you're breaking out your income by product or category, this is how you want to figure out how you're going to do your chart of accounts in the future. And to see this, you need to do the dimension workshop, watch the videos and see why. I might break this down by 3 or 4 things. I take customers that have had hundreds and hundreds of lines and consolidate them all the time by using what we call dimensions. Dimensions allows us to turn around and turn the general ledger entries into a bit of a pivot table. You need to go watch the video on that before making a decision here. However, just there like that, I can make the changes that I want, or I can turn around. For 110, I could add a new account and call it 415 like that. And I'm going to call this online sales. It's income statement. This is income, and category is income product sales, just like that. And so what's going to happen is it's going to appear in my list. Now you notice it's out of line. Can you see that? Now the reason how this all works, when you've finished fiddling with your chart of accounts, you indent it and it does a check to make sure that everything balances with the what we refer to as the begin totals and end totals. So when we're deleting stuff, you'll notice I was super careful not to delete anything that didn't total. And so now I've got ourselves a chart of accounts right now. I was able to add online sales just like that. Not a problem. I can also go into these accounts and rename them. This could be store sales. And just like that, I've renamed the GL code. You can hit edit list and do it in here just like this. Not really the way that I like to do it. I like to just keep my eye over it. And what I would probably do is, this store sales 41110, I like with my COGS. So let's go down to my COGS. 51110 is down here. I would really move the numbers around, and I would start my COGS at 51110, and I make my store sales, the COGS for store sales relative to 51110 to 41110, and I line them up. So I keep my numbers the same with exception to the 4 and the 5. So that's just a little trick that I like to do. Cleans it all up. All right. Going further down, you can see there's a lot of take up in here for expenses, depreciation, wages and salaries, business expenses, maintenance, all of that. You need to decide if you want to insert more into it or not. I find for a new user, it's easier to just turn around and do it within here. You can turn around and just create a new, and as long as you keep within the numbers, you should be right. All right. So have a crack with your chart of accounts. Reach out for support if you get stuck. One of our team can help you do this quite quickly. Just to explain the chart of accounts is your balance sheet on top, starting off at 1,000, finishing down at the 10,000 level, which is your income statement. All right. Now, clients say, hey, can I renumber it? Yes, you can. Please don't sit there and renumber all of them, because there's got to be 400 lines on here. Don't go do that. There's another way we do that, and we can do that in 2-3 minutes. So don't go and renumber all of these one at a time, because when you go to change a number, for example, like this, it's going to throw you error. It has to error check, and you'd have to do that 400 times. It would take you hours. All right. So, excuse me. My chart of accounts is here. In our YouTube channel, we talk about what we refer to as the posting groups, and in the posting groups, there is multiple. Excuse me. Let's go down here to posting groups. Pause that video, and you've got all the different posting groups that you should understand. Okay, one of the big things that you need to get your head around is that nothing in Business Central goes straight to the general ledger unless we override the system to do so. What we do is we use posting groups, and we've explained this within the basics. You'll have a customer, all right, and against the customer, you'll have a posting set up. And going back into here, if I go into customers, let me just, excuse me one sec, just pin that there. There we go. Awesome. So if I go into an item, the item has a posting group. So we'll take you through that as we add some data into here. But I guess before we go too far, all right, we've got to actually go through some of the setups. And one of those is the general ledger setup. And so the general ledger setup gives us really our allowed postings. I'm going to hit more. It gives a lot of things out of the box here that you may be interested in changing. For example, your rounding. Okay, your rounding precision. Right down to the dimensions that we're going to use for our global dimensions and our shortcut dimensions. It gives us some currency configuration. I would say you've got more on rounding, and then you've got your local functionalities. And here's where we get to decide, are we lodging BAS as a group? Is this the BAS group company? No. Are we enabling GST in Australia? Adjustments mandatory, GST reports, and enable withholding tax. So this is all here. It's localized specific to Australia. Just be aware of it. It's in your general ledger setup. Now, in different setups, for example, if I go into my sales and receivables setup, every setup has a lot of different settings for you to go through. Every module, if you think sales setup, purchasing setup, warehouse setup, inventory setup. All of them have a fixed asset setup. They all have a setup page. Now, these are all outlined here on the manual setup that I've given you that we've started with. Okay. And so it gives us that capacity to work through things from top to tail. I'm going to, in our next video, take you through how I would manage this sheet. All right. Which includes what I encourage people to do is lift a copy out by opening it in Excel, and you mark it one thing at a time as you go through, and you go done, 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 and you just work through the whole list. And it's one of the quickest ways to get through Build a Business Central. So that's what we're going to do in our next video. As part of doing this, it's going to take us through the posting groups and setups that we need to talk about. But before we get there, I highly recommend you go watch some videos. Make sure you've gone through the basics and watch the videos on the posting setups for Business Central. And that's going to give us, from our next video, the ability for us to start using a platform quite quickly. Please remember, do not create any financial transaction. We copy it to a burn test. We do not do that here. Why? Because all of a sudden we're not going to be able to use this for a go live anymore. You're going to have dirty data. We never ingest any data into the master template. We always copy it to test it. All right. So please just be super careful. Do not start playing with sales invoices or purchase. I know you're eager. I know you're excited. If you want to start playing, flick over to Kronos, go have a play, then come back to the master template. Now, the last thing I'll say is all of our tutorial videos are based on Kronos. So if I switch over here, the customers, everything that I've done in our tutorial series was built on this database. So if I go into customers here, you'll see the clients that are in the tutorial series, the items, the setup, everything out of the box is ready to go. So if I was doing this and I was going through the tutorials, I would open up our videos on the right-hand screen on the left, open up your own Kronos and start doing literally what we're doing in the video. Do it as we work through the videos and you're going to learn a heap. All right, I think that pretty much summarizes me up for our first video. Follow me along this journey. Please, if you haven't liked us, give us a subscribe and a thumbs up, and come along this journey with us, and we're going to hopefully show you some really cool stuff. Awesome.